Good day and welcome to News Express. Now, Nigeria's opposition politics may have just entered one of its most defining and unpredictable phases. Yet, and at the center of this unfolding realignment is Peter Obi, a man whose every political move now sends ripples across party lines and voter blocs alike. His sudden resignation from the ADC and swift alignment with a new platform, the NDC, has triggered questions, speculation, and intense scrutiny. But now, a key insider voice has added a new layer to the story. Senator Victor Umeh has revealed that Obi's exit was not abrupt nor surprising, but rather the accumulation of warning signs that had been building within the coalition for months. This is not just another party switch. It is a moment that exposes the fragile architecture of opposition coalitions in Nigeria and raises deeper questions about leadership trust, internal democracy, and the future of electoral alliance. Speaking on Arise Television, Umeh did not mince words. He painted a picture of a political structure that was struggling to define itself from the very beginning. According to him, the ADC became an open tent without a clear center of gravity, bringing together seasoned politicians' power, brokers and hopefuls without establishing a coherent leadership hierarchy or shared direction. Umeh's remarks suggest that what appeared on the surface to be a promising coalition may have in fact been weighed down by its own diversity. When a political party becomes an amalgamation of powerful individuals, each with their own ambitions and constituencies, the absence of a strong coordinating framework can quickly turn opportunity into instability. In his words, the party was filled with prominent figures yet lacked a unifying leadership identifying making accountability nearly impossible and strategic decision-making increasingly complex. It is within this context that Obi's position became precarious, not through any official declaration, but through a gradual shift in internal dynamics that made his path to candidacy less certain. The senator's insight that Obi did not need to be implicitly told about his diminishing prospects speaks volumes about the nature of political signaling in Nigeria. In such environments, decisions are often communicated not through formal announcements, but through subtle cues shifting alliance and emerging power blocks. For a politician like Obi, who is widely regarded as methodical and perspective, these signs would have been impossible to ignore. Umeh's statement essentially confirms that Obi's exit was a calculated move, informed by careful observation rather than a reactionary decision. Yet, beyond the internal politics of the African Democratic Congress lies a broader narrative about the kind of politics Obi represents and the challenges it faces within Nigeria's entrenched systems. Umeh was empathetic in defending Obi against claims that he might be seeking an easier route to securing a presidential ticket. Instead, he framed Obi's departure as a principled stand against what he described as the monetized political processes. This characterization taps into a long-standing critique of Nigerian politics, where financial influence often plays a decisive role in party primaries and candidate selection. Obi's political brand has consistently been built around fiscal discipline, transparency, and a rejection of transactional politics. Whether one agrees with this positioning or not, it has undeniably resonated with a segment of the electorate, particularly younger voters who are disillusioned with traditional power structures. Umeh's comments reinforce this image, portraying Obi as a leader who would rather step away from a system he perceives as compromised than adapt to its demands. In a political climate where pragmatism often trumps, principled distance sets Obi apart, but it also places him at a structural disadvantage within parties that rely heavily on financial mobilization. The formation of the NDC now emerges as both a strategic pivot and a test of whether an alternative political model can gain traction. Obi is not making this move alone. He is joined by Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, a former governor with his own strong political base, particularly in northern Nigeria. The inclusion of Senator Umeh further strengthens the emerging coalition, suggesting that this is more than a personal recalibration. It is an attempt to build a new political vehicle that can challenge existing paradigms. However, the success of this new alignment will depend on whether it can avoid the very pitfalls that plague the ADC. The challenge is formidable. Building a cohesive party from the ground up requires not only shared ideology, but also clear structures, transparent processes, and the ability to manage competing ambitions. If the NDC is to position itself as a credible alternative, it must demonstrate that it can offer what its predecessor could not: a defined leadership framework, internal cohesion, and a compelling vision that extends beyond individual personalities. There is also the question of timing. Nigeria's political calendar does not allow for prolonged experimentation. With electoral cycles approaching, alliances must solidify quickly and candidates must emerge with enough time to build nationwide campaigns. Obi's decisions to exist when he did suggest an awareness of this urgency. Waiting longer within the ADC might have further eroded his chances while limiting his ability to establish a strong footing elsewhere. By moving early, he retains the initiative and creates space to shape the narrative around his candidacy. Umeh's acknowledgement that the coalition hoped to eventually separate what he described metaphorically as the wheat from the chaff highlights another critical aspect of political alliance: the tension between inclusivity and selectivity. While broad coalition can bring together diverse support bases, they also risk diluting standards and complicating decision-making. The expectation that clarity will emerge over time may have been overly optimistic, particularly in a context where multiple high-profile figures are vying for influence. Obi's departure can therefore be seen as a recognition that waiting for organic alignment was no longer a viable strategy. As the dust begins to settle, the implications of these political shifts are far-reaching. For the ADC, it represents a significant setback, raising questions about its ability to retain key figures and maintain relevance in an increasingly competitive landscape. For the NDC, it is both an opportunity and a responsibility: an opportunity to attract momentum and a responsibility to prove that it can operate differently. And for Nigerian voters, it adds another layer of complexity to an already crowded field, forcing a reassessment of alliance candidates and the credibility of political platforms. What remains clear is that Peter Obi's political journey continues to defy conventional patterns. His decisions are often framed not just in terms of electoral strategy, but also in relation to broader principles about governance and accountability. Whether this approach will ultimately translate into electoral success is still an open question, but undeniably shapes the discourse in ways that extend beyond party politics. In the coming weeks, the focus will likely shift to how the NDC structures itself, who emerged as its key leaders, and how it positions its message to a diverse electorate. Umeh's move alongside Obi signals confidence in this new direction, but it also raises expectations. If the party can harness the energy of its members while maintaining clarity of purpose, it may yet redefine the contours of opposition politics in Nigeria. For now, one thing is certain: the signs that Umeh spoke about were not just indicators of a single candidacy slipping away. They were symptoms of deeper structural challenges within coalition politics. Obi read those signs, acted on them, and in doing so has once again altered the political equation. The question now is whether this new path will lead to consolidation or further fragmentation, and whether the promise of principled politics can withstand the realities of Nigeria's complex electoral terrain. That's all for now on News Express. If you have something to say, head over to the comment section and share your thoughts. We would love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. I'm Chidera Esom. Thank you for watching. Do have a beautiful day. Bye for now.